Hi, friends, family, and community. Christie here, your favorite PreK teacher. I'm excited to share my story with you all, and also like a little nervous to be vulnerable. But I thought it was important for me to create some kind of like way to share my story that would be easy for people to listen. So I decided to create this audio. And ultimately, this journey of like exploring my gender has been a long one, 32 years, like my whole life. Um, and I'm planning to share it with you all in three themes. Those three themes being childhood, my young adulthood, and then my professional years. So as a child, I didn't really notice or feel as if I was being felt different, because it truly felt like I was just being myself. Like I was just being young, Christy. Didn't really notice I was different in any kind of way, but it wasn't until I started hearing from other people about what they viewed as different. I remember hearing my dad's friends who would ask him questions like, why does your son act like that? Or why does your son, carry his Pokemon in like a basket? And I really loved Pokemon. I feel like it was like a very gender neutral, like toy to love as a kid. So I remember hearing that messaging already just as as a really young kid, maybe like 4 to 5. And then in school, I started to hear it too. I had people ask me questions like, why do you sound like that? Or why do you act like that? And like another one that I heard and was bullied with was, why do you act like a hairdresser? And, it's presumably, why did I act and sound like a girl? I feel like I had a very feminine demeanor and a feminine aura as a child. So I felt really confused as a kid because I felt like I was being myself, but wasn't really sure. I knew I didn't feel comfortable hanging out with the boys in school or like even with my dad, like in terms of like what I saw him do with his like friends and, like male community. So I definitely felt very like aligned with the girls, and, I had a very like euphoric moments as a child that really affirmed me, that were like, that kind of just made me feel like, oh, like this feels right. So one moment was this moment with these shorts. I remember I like gone swimming or something, and one of my mom's friend's daughter had like loaned me some shorts, and I remember putting them on, and I loved like the way they hugged my body. They're like really really short, and just kind of like really nice, and I just felt really like, like cutesy girly and like allowed to like wear these because, I needed to borrow something, and my mom's friend only happened to have daughters. And I remember my mom getting really upset and being like, you never wear those again. I don't know, it was just weird with these shorts. And then this Scream costume, if you know the Scream costume with like the ghost face mask and then the black like dress thing. That was something I remember as a kid, like just feeling so euphoric on Halloween, being able to wear this. I didn't really like wearing the mask, but I just loved wearing the costume. I felt like I was wearing a dress. I remember the Halloween parade and walking and just feeling the wind on my body and just feeling like I was wearing a dress. It was just really euphoric for me. And then just having an affinity for girl things. I like loved my sisters. I loved having sisters. I loved having like a strong mother, and never really saw myself as like a brother necessarily. I always viewed myself as like a sister. And, just wanted to be just like them. I wanted to be able to do what they did so bad. I remember when we go shopping and they could get all these girly things, but I couldn't because I was like, the boy of the family. I would always try to put them on too to like things that I noticed girls were doing in school. I would be like, oh, you should wear this skirt. This is like what girls are wearing, or like buy this baby fat necklace. Like this is what all the girls are wearing. And I felt like I was being a girl through them. I think a lot of just like moments where I played with their dolls and like would just, really enjoy the experience of engaging with girl things. I didn't get to have like long hair because of my parents and all that stuff, but I remember playing with their Barbies and then hiding them when my parents came. And my parents they tried really hard to like make me a man. They would be like, stand like this, you should maybe do push-ups to have like a chest. And it just didn't feel right. It never really felt right. My dad really tried hard, I think, as well. And then through middle school and high school, I really suppressed it. I like focused on school and was just kind of like, this is like my solace. It keeps me low key, just being like really nerdy. So I really suppressed it. My outside image was just kind of this like Mexican, wannabe skater boy. And so school was my solace, and people still knew. People still knew through middle school. People still knew in high school, where I was always being asked more so about my sexuality, like, are you gay? And it was because of my gender performance. I was not the typical boy. I even had teachers asking. I remember having a teacher call me in, and we're doing some kind of like one-to-one, and then she asked me, like, are you gay? And I said no. Like, I was just like, I'm not. But I think it was because I knew I was just more feminine. I didn't feel like, I didn't know at that point in my time. I tried really hard too, like, I had a mustache. I remember growing my hair out long, and that was something. I remember being also really hairy and not like feeling comfortable with it. So I remember one of my big goals was to go to college, and I did. Worked really hard in high school, and got myself into UCSD, and I felt more free. Like, in the beginning, I struggled with like coming out, and first came out as like gay or bisexual for a little bit, and then gay. And then I just blossomed. I remember I became so confident and, just really embraced just being myself. I feel like I had a safe space and community to do it in. Like, I think a university really is a safe space for that kind of experience, and just finding community. Like, my friends, I love my friends. I really value the way my friends, like, really just, like, allowed me to be me. And it's like that queer community and kinship that really shaped me. Like, I don't think I could be where I'm at without like chosen family. So in those moments, I feel like I became that girl. Like, I was that girl to my friends. I remember experimenting with pronouns in college. Like, I remember like introducing myself as, hi, my name is Chris, and my pronouns are he, she, and girl, and just didn't really care. I was like unapologetic doing this in certain spaces, and I knew I was avoiding transness. I didn't really want to like talk about it. I think I really enjoyed being fully queer, but I knew there was just something that didn't feel right. And it was the first time I started to realize I was attractive in college, and that people were like, could be into me. So I tried to be masculine in the gay community, but it just didn't really feel right. And, trying to be desirable in the gay community was one thing, but then as I engaged with gay men and dating, it just never felt right. I think I always viewed it as more as like a friend. Obviously there was like some level of romance, and I had some really affirming partners throughout my journey, who really saw the girl in me. I had them like, who would use like girl pronouns and would just refer to me that way. And I feel like they really saw that inner girl inside me. And I loved it. I felt really comfortable with it, behind closed doors and just kind of like within my safe space and my friends. But I didn't necessarily feel comfortable being addressed in those pronouns in public, with new people. I remember it would always feel weird. I'm like, okay, like, he just said, yeah, this is my girl, or like, use she pronouns, and then I'm just like, okay, these people don't even know me, or like don't know that, but I look like a guy on the outside. So that's when I started to question things. I was like, okay, like, I like this, but then I don't like it because of how I look. And then so I started cross-dressing. I remember, coming to New York and in college a little bit, I was just cross-dressed, like, with just certain things, just like how I presented myself online to men. And then my professional world came as after college, and that was tough. I was not fully comfortable and realized, like, college is a safe space, but the real world is not. It's not that, like, safe space for people to kind of truly be themselves. And New York was also a tough city, especially entering my professional career and working in schools. I realized, like, it's not a safe place to transition. And I felt, did feel affirmed in allyship and like coworkers and just people who really saw me for me. And, I did find like, a job that like allowed me that space. But I realized there was people who didn't like queer people. So I suppressed it in various ways. And I focused on my career. Like, like I always, like in high school, like I focused on school. And then during my career, I just kind of like really focused on that and became that teacher. I did struggle with my image at some point. I really started to just kind of like look in the mirror and not really like like I didn't like what I saw. Like, I didn't want to have like a man's muscles. I remember like going to the gym and like I was like, I don't want to lift the weights. Like, I'm trying to get like a big chest. So it's just really weird where I'm just like, I want this, you know, and I want to do things like be fit and like get, you know, like get a nice body, but then I'm not trying to have a masculine body. So I knew at that point I wanted some kind of like androgynous body. And then the pandemic came, and that was a moment where like my self-image was at all-time low. I would look in the mirror like every day and just be really unhappy. And I had a lot of loathing about myself, and was also just fearful, you know, as an immunocompromised person. I was reckoning with the fact, you know, that, you know, like they said during the pandemic that anyone who contracted it and was immunocompromised, you had a higher chance of like mortality. And I started to think like I could die tomorrow and like never became like my true self. So at that point I started to say, fuck it. Like, I was just like, fuck it. Let me be me. And it started with my nails. And that brought a lot of controversy, being like a male body with like my nails done, especially with work. And I noticed with friends, like, it didn't feel any different. Like, my friends just knew me. But then I realized that hatred could be out there. And, you know, I experienced it from like a community like my own here in New York. So I didn't really like having that attention at my job, like this negative attention. And, you know, I'm not really interested in that drama that comes with like someone not accepting someone who might be a little different. So it started to be a struggle. But then I started to just change. I was like, you know what, at the end of the day, like, who cares? Like, I, you know, want to make sure that I'm choosing me in these moments. So I started to grow my hair out, and that's been a journey. And then I started to present androgynous and like feminine in various ways in my career. I remember I never felt comfortable like being called a mister. I remember I just felt really weird. And then mix has really given me like that safe space, because I struggle with, you know, wanting to be a miss, but then don't want to deal with the backlash of like having parents who might not agree with that and just kind of like let it be a moment to kind of like disrespect you. So I try to just avoid and keep the peace. And being trans in education is not easy, y'all. It's like, it's been tough. I've dealt with some really like fucked up moments throughout my career. I realize it's a very gendered space and reiterates the binary so much and in so many subtle ways. So my heart like pangs for all the young queer babies and kids. It's not easy, and it's tough. You know, I feel like schools continue to fail queer and trans children, you know, and the staff members. But at some point, I felt like I was starting to do this for myself and like not care. And I remember when I chose to be mixed, I was like, okay, I'm doing this for like other queer people and like non-binary people when they come to my job, because I'm comfortable with it. And like, if we have community here and they see that I can do this. But then I realized I was like, actually, like, in being mixed, I was creating myself for Christie. I was creating that space to become mixed Christie. And at that point, I started hormone therapy, and I've been on it for like 2 years now, and started doing laser hair removal to get rid of all my hair. I think those who know, I used to have like a full beard, and I rocked a full beard, and my hair grew. Like, I had hair everywhere. But that shit was expensive. It was a big chunk just to get this, and I'm still doing it now. It's, you know, procedure. It's so painful sometimes. But at the end of it, I love the results, and I love where I'm at. And at some point, I started to feel like presenting feminine and being trans in public, it wasn't enough. I didn't feel safe in public, and I still don't feel safe. I really struggle with like going outside. Like, y'all, I really, really struggle with going outside. Some days. There's some days where I just feel really great and I feel very affirmed in my gender. And I feel like it might not look like that on the outside and what people see, but presenting as myself recently, the last couple of years, it's been a real struggle. I haven't really dealt with much. I haven't really had people say things, you know, just various instances on the subway, but nothing crazy. But I feel it. Like, I feel it. I feel the attention. I feel the eyes on me, and like the trying to figure out like what this person may be. So one of my big goals is just to kind of like present in a way like where I can pass for safety. Like, I don't want to worry about that. I want to be able to just be me and just be Christie and not have to worry. And and I don't want to deal with drama. I don't want to fear for my life in public. I want to be able to like travel the world and just present as this person. I don't feel different. I truly don't feel different at my core. And I feel like as my friends who know me and engage with me, they realize it's just still very me. It's just I'm really trying to have the outside reflect that now. Bathrooms are weird. Like, I always loathe going to the bathroom in public, or any like very, very straightish bar or space, just because it's uncomfortable. I'm just like, I used to do this all the time as a gay boy with my coworkers and my girls and going out, and just felt fine. But now it's like, it's a struggle. I'm like, oh, okay, like I know that I'm extend out, or like I know that it might be a little bothersome to some people. So I really appreciate, my friends and like the people who are those allies that create space for me and take me to these places and invite me out, and don't forget about me. Like, I think it's something that's been really, I feel really grateful for, like, the community I have built. So last year, April, I booked a doctor who specialized in facial surgery to support me in achieving my dreams. I wanted someone who could maintain the integrity of my face. Like, I'm not trying to look very different, y'all. I'm just like really trying to just maintain the integrity and just accentuate like the beauty I feel. I just wanted to feel a little bit more feminine. And initially I thought my school insurance would cover. I thought, being in this career for 10 years and being at my school for 8 out of the 10, like, I work at a charter school and I felt like I had great insurance. That's what I always hear from coworkers. Like, oh, we have great insurance. And ultimately, like, great insurance doesn't mean it's great for everybody. It might cover for a lot of other people. And my school does have some gender affirming surgeries covered by insurance, but this specific one isn't. And I've tried, advocating and asking, like, hey, like, is there potential affirming gender funds that you all could provide at my job? But ultimately, I haven't heard anything, and my, like, requests or inquiries go unanswered. So I'm here. I'm leaning on community to consider investing in me and my future. So I'm trying to fundraise a little less than half of the surgery cost. And then I'm ultimately utilizing my savings and financing a large amount of it. Because as I get older, I'm just like, I really want this, y'all. Like, I feel like it's part of my journey. And now being 32, I'm just like, I need to really take this step. And I've been really struggling in terms of like just being able to fully be myself out in public, and I think really choosing to invest in me would give me that like freedom. My hopes are to achieve this goal, and just I just really appreciate any help I can get. Any help, like in any way, if you can commit to like sharing my fundraiser, if you could really work on maybe potentially putting my fundraiser in the right space, or if you know friends who might have the capacity to donate, or if you're able to do multiple donations across the span of my campaign, I really would really appreciate just any consideration to help me achieve these dreams. I'm also hoping to host some fundraising parties, throughout the season. So a couple of soirees where community can come and share space with me and just like really invest in me. Make it a cute little soiree and have fun. But while also trying to really meet this goal, because I feel like this is the right next step, and I appreciate it. I just would really appreciate any consideration in helping me achieve this. Thanks, y'all. I really, really appreciate it. And if you got this far and listened to my journey, I thank you. Thank you. But yeah, love, Christie. Thank you for listening to my story.